Okay, back again. I'm gonna have to do some homework here and figure out why it's cutting off after a certain time. Maybe I'm not on the channel long enough to have all the time in the world I want to talk. Maybe it's cutting me off after the 10 or 15-minute mark. I don't know. But here we are back for part two. I'll try to pick up where I left off. Hopefully it recorded everything. I fully apologize for this because I did what I thought would fix the problem and it didn't fix it. It doesn't appear so. So if you're back watching live, let me know you're back live and can see and hear me, and we'll plug right in. Okay, continue right on. So we were talking about royalties at this point and how why it's so important to make sure that you get full exclusivity there we go, for the image so that no one else can use it. You want to, even if you're choosing an image from somewhere else, and you're not using your original from someone, if you're using a free site, there's plenty of free sites there. Good, Yvonne, thank you. If you're using a free site for images, you want to make sure that it is royalty free. You want to make sure that it has all the licensing permissions that you want to use. If all of that is just like mind blowing to you, you're like, this is just too much to think of. You just hire a cover designer like myself and just say, this is my idea, make it happen. And we will make it happen for you. Because it can be overwhelming. And you're like, is it this, is it that, is it da, da, da? That's why you hire the professionals. If you want to use something from someone else and let's say you're getting your friend to illustrate, they said, yes, you can use it for whatever you want. You've got a written exclusive agreement that they won't use this art on anything else. It's all yours. Then you talk about royalty fees or how to compensate this person. That is the gamut for compensation for cover art is from free, right? All the way to hundreds of thousands of dollars. So anywhere in between it could land. So if this is your friend or whatever, this is how I typically would recommend that you pay someone is a one-time fee, within reason. So you decide that and determine that by who is this person, what are their skills, have they done this before, all the things, what do they charge maybe. If they've never done it before, there's a lot of variables that go into that. But you want to make it a one-time fee. What you don't want to get into is royalty splits on your book sales. An image is one piece of the puzzle, right? You spent hours upon hours upon hours, right, Yvonne, writing your book. You do not want to have to give your royalties or a sliver of them to anyone else because it's bad enough as it is, right? You're going to have to be sharing it with distribution channels. Excuse me. Shout out to Texas Whataburger. Made a little pit stop on my way to get the Ethernet cable this morning, which doesn't seem to be working, but we'll see. You want to make sure that you don't have to split that royalty with anyone. And here's the main reason why. It's People are like, well, that may be better because if I don't sell a lot of books, then I'm only paying them a portion of the sales and that I can pay as I go. And as I sell books, I can pay them. Okay, great. But you're forever connected to that person paying them if you're paying a royalty to someone. It's the same with like a co-author. Once you've decided to co-author and how you decide to split those royalties, you're forever connected to that person. So you need to make sure that when it comes to an image that you're not forever connected to them, that you're paying them a one-time fee, you've got all the rights, written permission, and you're done. One transaction, right? Because if you're forever connected to them and forever having to, what about in-person book sales? What about if you sell through this distributor? What about through this distributor? I mean, it just becomes overwhelming and it shouldn't be that way. So book cover art, keep it simple, make it a one-time transaction. You pay them what you think it's worth, or what they're asking, or compensate them in whatever way. One of the suggestions I had for my community member was that it's a young artist, and so maybe you pay them some cash up front, right? So that they have some cash, but they're young, right? And so they don't need a lot of money up front. They like, what are they going to do with it? So maybe you actually open a CD for them or something like it's a family member of this person. Like do something where it's a little longer, right? That money may sit there longer for them. Because if it's a family member and you just give them cash and then it's gone and it's, but they're young. And so if you put it in a CD form, it might be more impactful later. Um, Especially if it's their first time doing something like that. So that was my suggestion to her. I know the person she's interacting with and doing this with. And so I think it would be a very good situation there. But you can be flexible depending on who it is and who you're working with and how they want to be paid. It is a tax write-off for you as a business, an author in business, to whatever you pay those, the illustrator, cover designer, all the people involved. It is a tax write-off, so keep track of it. What you've paid them. You don't have to do any type of tax form unless you're paying them over $600 currently under the tax law. Then you would have to do a 1099 if you paid them over that for the illustration. But that again is completely up to you, and that's that would be for a very professional illustration done by professional artists at that price. Other than that, you could probably get it pretty inexpensively. There are sites like Fiverr and all of these things that you can get illustrations really inexpensive if you want to go that route. But you just need to know that you get what you pay for in most cases. And then you need to make sure that you have the rights and all the things, right? And make sure that it's not AI generated, that it is an actual illustration. There's just a lot of things you need to watch out for in that aspect. But my main thing is to keep your branding the same. You want to make sure that you have the, for instance, let's just say these were illustrations instead of images. Even when I did these second books, I went back to the original cover designer for this book and said, okay, I want to create this and this. The original cover designer, because she had all the stuff, she did all the stuff, and I wanted it to look the same, right? And so if you have an illustration, it would be the same way. You would want, if you're doing a series, you would want it to look like it went together, right? Think about, like, let's just say, I don't know, Dr. Seuss books, maybe. You can think about that, how the art looks consistent throughout. Charlie Brown, right? The Peanut series, the art looks the same throughout. So you want to make sure that it's cohesive throughout. And so by using a designer or a illustrator that you're going to have that turn out better than if you just hit Fiverr and then 3 years later come back and hit Fiverr and if you can get the same person, fantastic. But the odds of that, who knows? And so just make sure that you think it through a little bit as you're working on that. All right. Amy says, hi. Can you use Canva for your images to illustrate? I use Canva for my digital printables and have the commercial use for them. Yes, if it is a commercial use image, you can use it for that. Some images on Canva have other rights, so you just need to look at the images. The images that you choose, use the look at that as you're going through it. But yeah, if you're familiar with that and you're using commercial use images, then yes, you can absolutely use images through Canva. Canva, Pixel, Unsplash, Pixabay. There's a lot of free sources out there for pictures. You can also buy, like, from, I can't think of the name of it now. It always pops up when you're in those other places. It's the one that they always want you to pay. They will have images that you can purchase exclusive rights to for commercial use, and some of them are inexpensive. Like, you can purchase the rights for $30 or whatever. If you really just fall in love with an image, you can do that. Just make sure that you're getting the right rights for it. And then if you're working with a cover designer, you need to provide that information so that they know, especially if you're working under somebody else's imprint. Like for my authors that work under my imprint. So for Amy, like your mom, under my imprint, I want to make sure that those are correct because it's falling under my imprint ultimately. Not that I'm the publisher in the traditional sense of collecting royalties on her book, but I'm putting my name attached to her book. And so I want to make sure that it's legit and right. And so it's just that extra step, right? So make sure that you know that and are providing it in that way. I've done some research on some images before, and it's like, I can't find this. I think it might've been on your mom's first book. Something came up and I was like, nope, I don't know where this image came from. And from what I can see, we don't have rights to use it. And so you've got to just drill down to the source, right? And make sure that you have the rights to use it. So I think it might have been that angel thing. The original image we didn't have the rights to use. I don't know. So hopefully that answered your question on that one. Any other questions? If you're on live watching, and you have some questions, let me know. And if not, I think we're about wrap up. I'm going to try to go fill in some of the gaps that maybe from this video to the next fell apart, because one of the most important things I want to make sure that you have, I want written permission, and this can be in the form of an email, but it's even better if it's a signed piece of paper. But it can be in the form of an email where they just, say you're sending, you agree that this image, I can use it for commercial rights and that I have exclusive rights to use it. So they can't use it for anybody else. Nobody else gets to use this, right? It's exclusive for you. Those are the two main things that you want to be able to get from them in writing, whether that's through email or through something that they sign off on. Even if they're a family member and those types of things, getting that signed off on, it can seem weird, but just present it to them as, you never know what's going to come of this. And I just want you to be set up as a professional, because especially if you're paying them any sort of compensation, now they are a professional, right? That's what defines a professional. You've been paid for your services. So you want to make sure that that you're covered with those things. Okay. Again, make sure that you get the rights over to your cover designer, let them know that everything's good to go. The high quality resolution, 300 DPI or higher, or I don't think it's or higher. Is it or higher? I don't know if that's the correct terminology. 300 DPI is the minimum, at least. Yes, or higher. That is the correct. And then again, if you're taking images or taking photographs, you want to make sure that you're leaving some space, right, to work with, so that when we expand the images or shrink the images, they still work within the book space for the trim size. Other than that, we can add borders and do overlays and all those fun things. So there's a lot going into book covers, a lot more than people think, but it's easier said than done, and you can always work with a professional to get the things answered that you don't know. If you're a do-it-yourselfer, Amy is very much a do-it-yourselfer, so she can certainly dive into some of these things. And very tech savvy, those types of things. She's already using it for her printables. So probably, Amy, for your book covers, you'd be able to design something for yourself. When it gets to trim size and all of those things, it might get a little tricky for you, but it's figure outable, right? Everything's figure. I can't say that word. You can figure it out. So, but hiring a professional is always a good way to go. And obviously you guys know that I'm here and offer those services. So if you need me for that, you know where to find me for that. Okay, let's talk about what's coming up next for Writing Wednesday. We will be back here next Wednesday for Writing Wednesday. I'm going to do my homework and find out what the problem is with YouTube, why it's not letting me go past a certain amount of time before it's just spinning for you guys, because it's only week 2 and this is getting old for me. I'm sure it's getting old for you. It's very frustrating, right, when technology doesn't work. Because obviously this is here as a free service for you guys, and I want you to keep showing up and keep getting value. And if it's not working, then you're not going to want to come, and then what's the point, right? So we're going to figure that out, but we will be here Friday. I will be inside of the community, inside of my Publish and Tell community, for our first marketing sprint. So make sure if you're part of the community, you are available Friday at noon for the marketing sprint. This is part of the book tour challenge. So if you were part of the book tour, you also get this. So just make sure that you're available for that. All right. I think that wraps up. Laura says she emailed me again. I'll check that, Laura. Thank you. I think I got something about an opt-in. I saw it briefly before I hopped on, so I'll take a look at that for you. Congratulations on pressing ahead and getting ahead. And again, for writing all those poems. Thank you so much, you guys. Have a great day. Thanks for being here. Amy, I haven't seen you in a while, so thanks for being here. And spread the word that there's a part 2 for anybody who missed it. Okay. Thanks so much, guys.